Looks like the city missed another deadline for a 4th of July fireworks show. Greetings, everyone. This is the Gardening Snail of Livingston, California, just trying to keep the community informed and local government as honest as possible. In this video, we are going to do a quick overview of what's on the agenda for the March 4th, 2023 City Council meeting. Closed session scheduled to run between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Open session to begin at 7 p.m. The teleconference call-in number is 520-525-8911. The meeting will also be streamed on YouTube Live. Public comments can be submitted via email at citycouncil@livingstoncity.com. Comments must be received by 2 p.m. on the day of the City Council meeting in order for them to be distributed to the Council prior to consideration of the matter. You will need to provide meeting date, item number, name, email, and comment. Please limit to 300 words or 3 minutes, and please include public comment in the subject for the email. Written comments will not be read aloud at the meeting, but will be reported as received for the record, unless one of the City Council members decides to read it themselves. If you do not receive an acknowledgement of receipt by 4 p.m., please call the City Clerk's office at 209-394-8041, extension 121. Note, this technology is not a guaranteed method. Under closed session, item 3, conference with legal counsel, national prescription opiate litigation. Item 4, conference with legal counsel, potential litigation, 2 matters. After the Pledge of Allegiance, moment of silence, roll call, closed session announcements, and changes to the agenda is citizen comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the City Council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes. For items which are on the agenda this evening, members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the City Council as each item is brought up for the discussion. Next up, awards, presentations, and proclamations. There is a presentation by the mayor recognizing the Livingston High School varsity girls wrestling team, followed by announcements and reports. The featured staff report is by Police Chief Chuck Hale, which is the introduction of new police department personnel. After that is the consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine or non-controversial and will be enacted by one vote unless separate action is requested by the city manager or city council member. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the city council or city manager request that specific items be removed. Item number 1 and number 2 are pretty standard. Item 3 is about a police department vehicle that was totaled in an automobile accident with a highway patrol vehicle. Item 4 is about a broke-down generator at the wastewater treatment plant and the crap that could cause, literally. Item 5 is about a well breakdown at well number 14. Item 6 is about transportation fund money and how the city wants to use it. And item 7 is about how well the city of Livingston is meeting housing needs. Then we get to the discussion and potential action items. Number 8, discussion and direction on the 4th of July event. Now that it seems the city has missed another deadline to contract for a fireworks display, maybe they will get a drone display. We'll see. Discussion and direction on amending the fireworks ordinance and associated files. A proposition that seems to come and go again and come and go again every so often. Number 10, discussion and possibly make city council appointments to city boards, commissions, and committees. I do wonder if there's someone who is just itching to palm off an unwanted assignment onto the newest member of the council. And you can see some of the boards and commissions listed on this slide. You can see a few more of the boards and commissions listed here. Wrapping up with council direction on future agenda items and adjournment. On to the staff report about the total police car. Under background, On July 20th, 2022, Detective Cole was on his way to a meeting when he was struck by an on-duty California Highway Patrol officer driving a state-owned California Highway Patrol vehicle. An investigation was conducted by the California Highway Patrol, and it was determined that their officer was at fault. An investigation was completed on the City of Livingston detective vehicle, a claim was filed, and a determination was made that the vehicle was a total loss. The city will provide the funding for the initial purchase and then will receive reimbursement. There is no net impact to the general fund. On to the busted generator. Under background. On January 9, 2023, the emergency generator providing backup power for the wastewater treatment plant, influent lift station, and the operations building failed. As the emergency generator is an essential facility for the city's wastewater treatment plant, city staff immediately procured a rental unit to keep the wastewater treatment plant running in case of a power outage. The city has been leasing a portable generator since January 2023 at a price of over $5,000 per month. Without an emergency generator, a loss of power to the wastewater treatment plant would be catastrophic, as the influent lift station would not be able to convey raw sewage from the sewer collection system to the wastewater treatment plant. This failure could lead to sewer overflows at the wastewater treatment plant, city streets, and residential homes, meaning someone could end up in deep doo-doo, literally. There would be environmental concerns for the Merced River, as well as health and safety hazards to Livingston residents. And we could end up on the receiving end of huge fines if some of that crap ended up in the Merced River. Due to long lead times for delivery of a new unit, staff is identifying potential interim repairs to reduce reliance on a rental unit. City staff is diligently pursuing both interim repairs and a permanent replacement for the failed unit to avoid the high rental costs. City staff estimates the permanent installation will take over a year to complete. Since this is $122,000 worth of big trouble, it's being considered an urgent situation, and staff is recommending skipping the regular formal bidding process and moving on using an informal quote and process. Under fiscal impact, it states the generator rental costs will be funded 100% from the Wastewater Enterprise Fund included in the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 budget. Now that we've talked about an over $122,000 urgent emergency project at the wastewater treatment plant, now let's look at the nearly $123,000 problem with one of our wells. Under background. On March 3rd, 2023, well number 14 failed to operate. Shannon Pump pulled well equipment and confirmed the motor and pump failure. Under discussion, water demand is starting to increase due to the approaching warmer weather. Should the city experience an additional well failure, the water department may experience difficulties with meeting water demand to foster farms and the residents of Livingston. Just like the urgency at the wastewater treatment plant, this emergency is stated to be dealt with by funds already in the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. But I can't help but wonder how much of that money was set aside for emergencies and how much was set aside for planned upgrades to the system based on the rate study we did a few years back. On to the staff report about some money the city will be setting aside for use on future projects such as repaving Stephanie Avenue between Davis Street and Campbell Boulevard. The city will be getting just over $12,000 in LTF money, which will be added to LTF money the city already has, to be added to over $821,000 from other transportation funds, to repave Stephanie Avenue between Davis Street and Campbell Boulevard. Moving on to the housing element report. The housing element identifies specific sites that could accommodate new housing units to meet the city's regional housing needs assessment in all income categories. The purpose of the annual report is to update the City Council and the state departments, Office of Planning and Research and Housing and Community Development, on progress towards achieving the regional housing needs assessment and implementing of housing element policies and programs. In other words, does the city have enough land zoned for all the different kinds of housing the state thinks ought to be built in the city of Livingston? And now on to the discussion and direction on the 4th of July event. At the March 21st, 2023 City Council meeting, the staff was directed to get information about the possibilities of having a fireworks show on July 4th and how much it would be for a drone show on the 4th. Unfortunately, turns out the fireworks providers are already booked up for the 4th of July. There was a proposal that was received about the costs involved with a drone show. In addition to the drone show or no drone show decision, staff is asking Council for direction on other components of the July 4th event which have been provided in previous years, like live music and bands, concessions, and potential alcohol sales, like a beer garden or beer tasting. According to the proposal which was received from Sky Elements, a standard drone show would last up to 15 minutes. The more drones used, the more detailed the display. Of course, the more drones used, the higher the price. Pricing for a drone show on July 3rd ranged from $40,000 for good to $120,000 for best. Pricing for a July 4th show ranges from $100,000 for better to $150,000 for best. Wrapping up with to amend or not to amend the fireworks ordinance and associated fines. The City Council is being asked to decide if they want to amend the existing ordinance, and if the answer to that question is yes, would they like to also amend the associated fines, or if they just want to leave it all as is for the time being. According to the current municipal code, administrative penalties can be imposed against people using illegal fireworks. When we go to the part of the municipal code that talks about these penalties, we see that the first violation is not to exceed $100, the second not to exceed $200, and the third or subsequent times within 1 year not to exceed $500. When this came before the City Council the last time, the proposal was to amend Section 7-14-16 to read that the first violation would be $2,000, the second violation within 12 months would be a $3,000 fine, and the third violation within a 12-month period would be a $5,000 fine. What the City Council will eventually do this time around is anybody's guess. If you like what I do here, please follow me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Editorial content and historical recollections are my own as a long-term resident of Livingston and also a City Council watcher since at least 2007. They do not represent the views and opinions of the City Council or of the City of Livingston itself, and does not represent any kind of legal advice. Photo credits.